Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to the SoulFire podcast. I'm your host, Tammy Goerke. We're going to talk about all kinds of topics, all centrally focused on inspiring and empowering women. Insights, tips, and tools for living life to its fullest. This is going to be a mix of solo chats and weekly interviews with women who are living life their way, whatever that may be, so that you can envision what's possible for you. I Am Inspiring Women is going to be a subsect of SoulFire podcast. Not sure if anybody's ever done that, but this is going to be 2 podcasts in one, so hope you enjoy. We'll talk about the ways to have an attitude that will get you through anything, and what you can do to reconnect with your inner child and better manage those reactive emotions. We will discuss how to work through those limiting beliefs and what it takes to be a light in the world. This is a place to discover how other women are thriving in their chosen profession, whether it's an artist, a business owner, an entrepreneur, stay-at-home mom. We'll discuss the real and honest truth about what being a woman means to us. These women talk about challenges and successes, how they deal with the ups and downs of life. These are real women who are sharing their stories so that you'll be encouraged to live your best life. Inspiration, motivation, and transformation. Let's encourage each other. Let's lift each other up. Let's learn and expand our possibilities in this world. Let's share with each other what being a woman means to us. Life is an adventure, and being a woman right now is the biggest adventure of all. I say we make the decision right here and now that we redefine mistakes and failures. Instead of them being such a bad and negative, horrible event in our lives, let's redefine what they mean to us. Yeah, I get that in the moment or just after something happens in your life, regardless of whether it's, disastrous or regardless of whether it's a small mistake or it's a huge disaster, we can learn something from all of these failures and mistakes. As long as we take the time to reassess any lessons that can be learned in this. And I get that some people are like, oh my God, I'm so tired of hearing about lessons to be learned and all that life is learning lessons, but it's true. That's our whole purpose of being on this earth, is to make mistakes, to have failures, to get up and try it again in a different way, figure out what we did wrong or what we could have done differently. Maybe not necessarily wrong, because in that moment, we did what we felt was right. We did what we thought was a good idea. Even if later on we're kicking ourselves in the asses for doing whatever it was that we did, we still in that moment thought we were doing the right thing. So handling it or doing it differently, taking the time to pay attention and noticing, oh, I could have maybe said this a little bit differently, or I could have approached this in a different way, is a great way to learn from those mistakes and those failures. If we continue to think of them as negative and, put ourselves back in the schoolyard or in the classroom and think of the teacher putting a big red X on our homework, that's not how you learn from mistakes. That is not how you grow and know that next time I can do this a little bit differently. Or maybe I did something that I thought was the right thing to do when in fact I could have done something a little bit better. But if people don't talk to you about it, or if you don't talk to whoever, is involved in the situation, or if you don't talk to yourself about what you could have done differently, and all you do is beat yourself up. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did that. This is just dumb. Oh, I should have known better. All of the crap that we tell ourselves. Yes, we can go through and commiserate for a little bit and, feel bad about whatever it is, that mistake or failure that we've gone through. But don't dwell on it. Look back at it and find the good in it. Find the things that you could have done differently and move on. Try it a different way. We keep doing the same thing over and over again, and we expect a different result when we all know that is not going to happen. So thinking about mistakes and failures in a positive light and finding out what it is that, that you can do differently. What did work? What out of that mistake did work? You now know that, okay, now I can't do it this way. I need to do it a different way. Or now I know that when I say things in this particular way, I don't get the result that I wanted. How can I say it differently? You can only control yourself. So when you're looking at this situation or when you're looking at this failure, look at what you can do differently. Don't blame anybody else. Don't say, oh, well, so-and-so should have done something differently, or, such and such should have gone better, or whatever it is in the situation. What can you do? How can you control the outcome a little bit better next time? What is it that you can change, or that you can learn more about, or, what is it that you can adjust as far as what you can input into the situation to be able to have a better result? If you don't bother to look at this, then you're not going to learn anything. You're not going to have a better result next time. You're going to continue to do the same thing. How can you change things around and have a different outcome? What didn't work out the way you planned that maybe you can switch up and do a little bit differently? You always have a choice. So you can always decide that you want to do things a little differently. If you can't come up with another way of doing it, another solution, ask somebody. I love when our kids are like, well, I've got to do it on my own. No, you don't. I don't know who ever told you that, but trust me, you cannot do everything on your own. Oh my God, I just had an epiphany. I do it all the time. I'm constantly trying to figure out how to do things on my own because maybe it's easier just to do it myself and then I don't have to bother with anybody else. Or because it's something that I want to learn. And so I figure, instead of paying somebody to do it, I can figure out how to do it. And then I'll have that knowledge, when in fact, it probably would have been easier just to hire somebody or to ask somebody's help. But instead I don't. So I guess the kids get it from me. Well, okay. Anyway, I guess I'm speaking to myself on that one then. Ask for help. What is another way that you can tell me that I could have done this better? And I actually do that. It's just that I forget. It was funny because Roy told me this the other day. He's like, oh, did you catch that? You asked me to do something the other day and you said, hey, can you do me a favor? Would you mind doing whatever it was? And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, I'm constantly telling you when you talk to the kids, use honey instead of vinegar. Instead of just telling them to go do something, go do the dishes. Say, hey, can you do me a favor? Would you mind going and doing the dishes? And I said, I try and remember to say it that way. But when I'm in the middle of doing 12 other things, it's easier for me to say, please go do the dishes, or go do the dishes, instead of, hey, would you do me a favor? Would you please go do the dishes? It's like expedience on language. I want to hurry up and say what I need to say, and then that's done with it. I have made the mistake in forgetting to ask the kids in a nice way to do something. I can be very demanding. And it's not that I do it because I don't care or I don't love them. I forget that, it takes just a couple more seconds for me to say it in a way that's a little bit more appreciated. I'm all about expedience. I want to get it done. I want to get it over with, but it wouldn't hurt me to say it a little bit differently. So even though I make the mistake of repeating it the same way and being more demanding, I have gotten better as I take the time to consider what I'm saying. But I would never know that I need to change that if Roy wasn't the type of person who said something to me. If he just let it go by and didn't say anything, about the way I can change or the way I can approach a situation, I wouldn't know better. And so even when somebody is saying something to you and saying, oh, well, maybe if you'd said it this way, or maybe if you'd done it this way, don't get upset with them. Don't get defensive. I know it's very easy to get defensive, but consider that maybe they see a different way of doing something that might make it easier for you. Or you might try it and decide, okay, I don't like doing it this way. It doesn't feel right, or I'm not comfortable, or whatever it is. And then you think, okay, I don't have to do it that way. Find another way. But make a point of asking people to give you some assistance and say, hey, on this mistake I made, or I failed at this thing and this didn't turn out right, what can I do differently? Or do you see another solution that maybe I haven't tried? If you're not asking questions and you're not making an attempt to improve yourself and to learn from those mistakes and those failures, then you're not growing. You're not improving yourself. You're not becoming a better person. And that's what you're meant to do, is you're meant to you're meant to become and grow and be a better person. Take the time to ask questions, to take a look at the mistakes that you're making. Make more mistakes. Fail more. Because trust me, if you fail more. What's that whole thing with Thomas Edison and 10,000 ways to, not make a light bulb light? Well, now I found 10,000 ways and it doesn't light. Well, obviously 10,000 ways, that's a heck of a lot of ways. But he also found out that there's other ways that he can do this. Have 10,000 failures. If you're in sales is a big numbers game. Most of it is ask and ask and ask and ask and ask. Fail and fail and fail and fail. Get tons of no's until you get the yes. Not that you're doing anything wrong. It's that you are learning how to approach people. You're learning how to ask them questions. You're learning how to learn more about what they want. And so you're going to fail. You're going to fall flat on your face, but get back up again and try a different approach. Keep doing it. Keep moving forward. Don't stop and don't let yourself fall down and think, oh, I'm never going to be able to figure this out. Get back up again. Try what you're doing one more time. See how that works. And then ask other people around you, hey, I did it this way. It didn't work. What do you suggest? Or find a teacher. Find a mentor. Somebody who's already done what you want to do. Trust me, regardless of what you're doing, even when you're inventing something brand new, you will be able to find somebody that can help you out. Because think about this. We always consider someone who doesn't know as much as we do. We're smarter than they are. We can still learn something from that person. They can still have some sort of an insight that we hadn't thought of that we can use to be able to improve on that mistake that we made. But if we're too busy caught up in our own little worlds and thinking that we're the only ones who know how to do this, or we're the only ones who know how to fix this mistake or how to overcome this failure, then we've only got ourselves that we're thinking. We've only got the one brain. So using people around you and using more of a collective intuition and ideas and thoughts and inspiration, we get a better idea of how we can fix that mistake or that failure. If you stop because of those two, if you stop because of failures and stop because of mistakes, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to be able to move forward in your life. Let's rethink those. Let's rethink all the mistakes, all the failures. So it's not always easy to rethink those things. So for those of you who already know me, you know that I was married in the past. I got divorced. I was married for 25 years. And we grew apart. We just weren't talking. We tried to work it out and it just didn't work out. And so we decided to get divorced. As much as I could go on and say, my ex-husband was a horrible person, or, the whole time that I was with him, it sucked, and I could focus on all the negatives and all the mistakes from that marriage, I don't do that because I focus on the positive stuff and I focus on the things that I've learned. I don't consider that a failure. I don't consider that the biggest mistake of my life, that I got married to the wrong person, or the mistake of getting divorced, or the failure of the marriage. I don't look at it like that because I learned a lot in that marriage. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what I want in a partner. I learned a lot about raising kids. I learned a lot about, how I want to live my life and what I need to do to improve myself. And I learned that, some people don't like to change and some people love change. So I take away from that all the positive things and all the things that I learned from it that made me a better person. And I wouldn't change that for the world. So even though you can look at a big failure or a big mistake in your life, you can make the decision to look at it in a different light. I have tried, I have started 5 or 6 different businesses. I have changed my career, 12, so many, I can't even think, so many times. I went to college for 5 years and changed my major 6 times. So I don't consider any of those failures. I have used all of those experiences to make me who I am now. So if I chose to consider, oh my God, I never graduated from college. I couldn't figure out what I wanted my major to be. I changed it 6 times. I've, changed my career. When I say change my career, I mean, I went from being in sales to being in a doctor's office. I mean, it's like drastic, like total opposite change. As in, when I say I changed work and or changed careers, I changed fields completely, like going from one field to a completely different field. And I could consider those failures, but I don't look at it that way. Again, I learned what I liked and what I didn't like. So as much as somebody might say, oh, you failed and you didn't stick to a career, or you should have done this or you should have done that, I don't look at it like that. All of those experiences made me who I am. And I am a multi-passionate person. I love all different kinds of things. So me changing careers, or me changing what I wanted to do in school, or me changing whatever businesses, I realized that these particular businesses that I had tried, first off, they weren't what I really loved. They weren't what I wanted to do. They taught me a lot. I learned a lot about business, a lot about self-development, a lot about, personal development for myself and for others. And I've incorporated a lot of those lessons into my own life. And so, no, they're not failures. No, they're not mistakes. They are lessons. They are my education. And if I hadn't had those failures, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have. Reframing and thinking about those mistakes in a different light allows me to grow and be a better person, allows me to help others more than I ever could have possibly done if I had not had those mistakes or those failures. So reconsider the life-changing events in your life. Anything that you look at that you might consider a big mistake or a massive failure, look at it again and see what you've learned from that. What has changed in your life? What has gotten better? What has gotten worse that maybe you need to change? So if you're looking at these situations and these incidences in a positive way, and you're looking for the good, and you're looking for the lesson that you can learn from that, then you're going to grow and you're going to be a better person for it. And I know that it's not always easy. And it's not always going to happen overnight. It's taken me a few years to realize that the 5-6 businesses that I started were not failures. Even though I thought that those were failures at the time, I now know that they're not. I now know that those are not what I really wanted to be doing. It seemed like a great thing at the time, but now I know it's not. It's not what I was meant to be doing. Consider those life lessons and how you've learned and how you've grown from them. Move forward. Go out and make more mistakes, have more failures. And I hope you live life adventurously, because that's the only way to live. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, then please subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day. Bye.